Hi, it's Darren, and wow, what a year that was. I think as investors, we're all happy to see 2022 fade into the rearview mirror. But before it's gone, I thought we'd take a few minutes and just go over some of the work that we did on your behalf as a team, some of the accomplishments we had, and some of the work that we look to keep doing for you in 2023. I'd like to begin by welcoming the 33 families that chose us this year to be part of their financial planning and wealth management. Thank you for choosing us, and we look forward to a long and fruitful partnership together. We finished the year ranked as number 3 for our performance within Raymond James, and that placed us into something called the Global Top 50, which are the top 50 advisors from across the organization in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. There'll be a conference I'll be invited to attend in March in Manhattan, and even though I qualified for this group the last few years, we haven't had anything to do because with lockdown and COVID, we weren't able to get together. So I'm looking forward to being with some of my top performing colleagues from across the organization and sharing ideas and best practices. That'll be a lot of fun. Our client portfolios generally did really well. I'm pleased on how we did against the benchmarks that we measure against. I think the biggest thing we did was not do anything foolish and lose a lot of money. Indeed, in the last year, I think anyone that chased the most popular investments probably didn't work out very well for them. And I think I should actually do a Coleman Wealth Academy video on everything you should have learned in high school, which would include the price of popularity. Sometimes these things aren't worth chasing. Speaking of videos, I did quite a bit, not as many as I'm going to do in 2023, I trust, but I did 3/4 of the updates for you. I'll do another one as we go into the new year. That's the one with my charts and graphs, and many of you quite like those ones. We did a number of Coleman Wealth Academy videos. We did one on how we don't do panic here, some 4 numbers for retirement, the magic of dividends, and the one I got the most feedback on was the one I did about crypto. And if you go back, I'll put the link up here for you. If you go back and watch that one again, you'll see that a number of the things I talked about seem to have come true. So we got a few of those things right, which was great. We also refreshed our website, and as you may know, we have 2 websites. We have the Coleman Wealth brand, which is where we focus on how to save for retirement and how to stay comfortably retired. And we do a lot of work also with Dr. Joe Coughlin at the Age Lab. I'm going to come back to Dr. Joe in a few minutes. We also have a cross-border focused website, as we have the leading practice in North America that works with people who have money and family on both sides of the border. I also got to be George Clooney for a day, which was fun because as part of refreshing the websites, I had a really high-end production crew come in, and it took a lot of work to make me look half decent. But the videos are on the websites. There's a different series for each website. So if you have a chance to go watch me in my Hollywood moment, please do. My mom loved them. The team also grew this past year. At the early part of the year, we said hello to Ryan, who joined us as our senior financial planner. And I've had nothing but incredibly positive feedback from those of you who had an opportunity to engage with Ryan. I appreciate not everyone's had a chance to meet him yet. It's quite a queue that he's got to work through. You know, I think with COVID, pretty much everyone's plans got scrambled a bit. So he's been playing a lot of catch up to get people's plans kind of reorganized, updated. And we've also had changes to interest rates, inflation, a lot of our assumptions. So a lot of the plans that you may have been changed a bit. And from our perspective, a lot of the math inputs have also changed. So he's been a busy guy. So if you haven't had a chance to talk to Ryan yet, speak to Nick or Pedro, and we'll get you a meeting with Ryan in the new year to make sure your stuff is updated too. We also got to say hello to Christian, who just joined us a week and a half ago now. And Christian comes to us as a CPA. He's a master of taxation. He's also finishing his first levels of the CFA, or Chartered Financial Analyst course. So he's going to add a lot to our strength in terms of advanced tax capability, and he's going to be supporting me, Nick, and Pedro on the portfolio construction, product due diligence, and we have access to some incredibly powerful institutional risk analysis software that I have to tell you, I can't work it anymore. I know what the outputs are, but working the machine, you guys have seen me work my phone. It's not great. So I'm going to have him take care of the inputs. I feel like Gordon Ramsay, and I just got a new sous chef. So I'm really looking forward to having Christian take ownership of a lot of those things with us. And again, I think that will add to our horsepower and our capability. And you know my joke, we have to kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince. So he's going to help us go through even more investments to sort out the ones that we like from the ones that we won't be touching. Nick was very busy, and amazingly, as a new dad, somehow he found the time to do not 1, but 2 advanced designations. The first one he did was the Chartered Investment Manager designation. I have that, and that allows him now to be an associate portfolio manager with me. And that's one of the highest levels of licensing and capability an advisor in Canada can have. And if that wasn't enough, somewhere he found the time to also finish off his Certified Financial Planning designation. So that brings that list to 4. So Nick, me, Ryan, and Neil all have our CFPs. And that, interestingly, is more CFPs than some companies have in their entire financial planning departments. So that gives us, again, a lot of horsepower. And also, too, other people on the team are all taking courses and things, so we'll have more news to report to you as they finish off their coursework, because we never stop learning here. We moved into the new office, so here's a picture of it. We got tired of going down to Bay Street. I did it for 30 years, all the commuting, and I think now we all just are kind of tired of it. We do so many meetings now with Zoom and some of the other technologies that we're utilizing. Most of us now are in the West End. Katie and Ryan are in Vancouver. So we just felt like, let's have an office where we can start coming back together in this new hybrid work thing, whatever it is, but one that's closer to home and still gives us all the professional capability and functionality that we want and need. The other big benefit is I'm the boss, it's my space, so Charlie can come and visit. So if you'd ever like to come in and see Charlie in person, just let us know and we'll make sure he's here to see you. What else? We did lots of due diligence this year. We have really privileged access to a lot of remarkably talented and capable people and organizations. And I spent 30 years building great relationships with some of the top investment minds and tax people and legal people in North America. And that access is something that we leverage for you. And so I want to give you just a quick short list of some of the organizations that we had, one-on-one private meetings and conversations with. So I'm going to go quick. Fidelity, Capital Group, Franklin Templeton, Dynamic Funds, Starlight Capital, Evolve ETFs, Invesco, Productivity Media, IA Clarington, Purpose Investments, Manulife, Formula Growth, Picton Mahoney, Sun Life. I have more, but this is why I need Christian to help me with all of these things. And he's going to become the point person. I'm going to be bringing him to these relationships to just, again, give us even more benefit from having that access. We also got to do something the other day that was neat. Invesco Consulting, which is one of our favorite firms, they do a lot of work on helping us understand different investment themes and things better. And so they actually we got to pilot. We were the very first investment team, not just in Canada, but globally. They wanted to run us through first one of their programs, which was all about responsible and sustainable investing. And that's really to help us better choose and use these new tools to complement your portfolio and align the investments with your values. And I appreciate this can be a very tricky area with a lot of potential for politics and other things coming to it. So we wanted to do this in the most educated way possible. And that's a dialogue we want to be taking you through in 2023, because I think it's important. And we're just going to follow the money. I think this is an area that's getting more and more attention, more and more focus. So we want to be at the front of that. And we were really glad, again, to be the very first advisor team in the world to see their work. So that was a wonderful partnership we have with them. Speaking of partnerships and things and leadership, I was on the road quite a bit as the world reopened and conferences were finally back on after several years of them being virtual and not awesome. So being back together was a great experience. So I took full advantage of as many as I could attend. We had our national business conference with Raymond James in Vancouver in the spring. I was asked to be on a panel to speak to the other advisors in the firm about the Raymond James Trust Services capabilities. We just had an announcement recently that we acquired the largest independent trust company in Canada. So that further extends our capabilities there. And I was a real table pounding advocate of us to add these capabilities to support our clients, support you for trust requirements, executorships, and a lot of other situations where a professional trustee or corporate executor really could add value and solve a lot of potential problems. And I was trained as a trust officer at Royal Trust almost 30 years ago, so I'm fully aware of what all of these capabilities are and where they can provide support. And a number of you have already engaged with our trust company to provide really essential services. And if this is something we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, or you're interested in having that dialogue, just put up your hand, let us know, and we'd be happy to kind of carry through that dialogue. I was asked, we also had the Private Investment Management Group conference in Montreal. That's just for portfolio managers within Raymond James. So Nick got to attend that conference with me. That was fun to be there with him. I was asked by Private Wealth Canada to moderate a panel on the future of wealth management. I hosted a podcast interview with Sandy Pokalar, who's the Chief Operating Officer for Firm Capital, who we've had a long and great relationship with. And we did that for the Canadian, I'm going to put the logo because I can't, Canadian Alternative Assets and Strategies Association, something like that. They need a rebrand, to be honest with you. What was neat about that was Sandy and Firm Capital reached out to CASA to do this, the podcast, to discuss the work that they do and the benefits that they bring to investors. And Sandy specifically asked if I would do the podcast with them. So that was flattering to do that with Sandy, and that was a lot of fun. We also had a number of conferences and things. We also had the Globe and Mail Top Advisors Conference in Toronto, which was also neat to see a lot of my colleagues who were ranked on those lists. We'll talk about that again in a second. Now that the border was open, I was able to attend some conferences in the United States. Neil and I, in May, attended the Shook, sorry, that's not right. That's another one coming up. We took so many, I'm getting them all mixed up. We attended the Barron's Top Advisor Teams Summit in Nashville. And that's an invitation-only event, which has, I think at this one there were 600 advisors attending it. In previous years there's been almost 1,000. This year there were 600 as they're getting back on their feet with these things. So there were 600 of the top teams of advisors in the United States and one Canadian who attended that. So Neil and I enjoyed our time in Nashville. And then I went in the fall to the Forbes Shook Top Advisor Conference in Las Vegas. And I'll put a link up here. I did a little video of some of the things that we talked about at that conference. That was fun. And also for fun, Forbes magazine, all the award winners, including the one guy from Canada, because there were about 1,000 top advisors in the United States and one Canadian again. They gave all of us this digital magazine cover that we got as a memento. So I thought this was fun. I'll share it with you. This obviously wasn't on every newsstand, but it was a fun memento to bring home, and only the award winners were given one of these things. So that was a fun thing to have to bring. I also got to be on a panel. I mentioned Dr. Joe at the Age Lab at MIT, who's the world's leading authority on longevity and aging. And we've had Dr. Joe do a webinar for us. We had him do an in-person event for us several years ago. Hopefully we could do them again if we can ever figure out how to do those things. He asked me to be on a panel with him and two American advisors, which was all about caregiving and how we as wealth advisors can participate and support our clients in that area, which I think is absolutely essential. Because the reality is all of us are going to be involved in caring for someone else, or someone's going to be involved in caring for us. So having some insight and some wisdom and resources to help us be really good at this as and when you need this capability was something that I think is important to me. And we're going to keep working to be better at that. And Dr. Joe's been great. He's invited me to come down to the Age Lab. And actually, I think I might get to be a guest lecturer at MIT. How about that? That'll be amazing. I sit a number of boards, Advisors Edge and Investment Executive. They used to be separate publications. They've now merged together. I've been on the editorial advisory board for them for over a decade, and the editor once in a while contacts me and we have a conversation about stories and trends and themes that I see happening in the investment industry or she sees, and we want to have a back and forth, which to help guide some of the content that goes out to the Canadian investment advisor and portfolio manager community. So that's, my kids are 21 and 17, so no one listens to me there, so it's nice that they do. I also am the only Canadian advisor to sit on the Canadian Advisory Board for Investment and Wealth Institute, which is the premier educational, advanced education offering for advisors in North America. So I'm privileged to be part of that. And I think they might want me to take one of their courses, but we'll see. We also set a number of other boards. Some of you know, because I did the Dancing with the Stars. Maybe I didn't know this. I did the Dancing with the Stars. I was a dancer. I'm a professional dancer. I got all 10s. For the Community Foundation of Mississauga, where I head up the investment committee, where we oversee many millions of dollars that supports a very wide range of charitable works across the city. And I also sit on the board for the Community Foundation, so I'm privileged to be part of that. And this past year, I launched a Newcomers Fund, which is designed to support causes and things within Mississauga to help people as they come to Canada and settle in the city to raise their families. And begin building their families. And that really spoke to me because my mom came to Canada in the 1950s from Guyana with her family. So supporting people as they build new lives here, I'm really privileged to be able to help provide even a little bit of support to do that. We got some nice awards and recognition this past year. I don't seek these things out. It's just nice when they tap us on the shoulder and say, good job. Hey, we all like the little gold star in our work, right? So as you know, in 2021, we were in the Globe Top 150 Advisors in Canada. The first time they ever decided to do a ranking, we made the list. That got widened out in 2022. So for 2022, we were best in province, although somehow best in province is Ontario and then Toronto. So we're in the Toronto category. I don't know why they do the math like that, but anyway, we were chairman's counsel for Raymond James. I think this was my 10th year in a row, so good for us for doing that. I also Google searched it. I was in the Globe and Mail 13 times amongst other publications this year, so a little more than once a month. The one that to me was the most fun was to be profiled in Barron's magazine, and not only was the profile great to do, the line art thing's a bit weird, but I'm the first Canadian advisor they've ever profiled, so that was fun to have that capability. So there you go. That's a short summary of some of the work that we did on your behalf, and we look to do even more in 2023. Couple thoughts about where we're going, where we're headed. Volatility and inflation, this is still going to be around. I've talked about this in the past. We're still going to see more of this coming. So we're adjusting our portfolios now, really because interest rates have moved up materially. So Christian's going to be helping Nick and I in working about adjustments to be made there. But that's a pretty important change that we're going to adopt as we go into 2023. But I'll do more of that in my updates for you. We're also going to take a bit of a break. Yes, I do give everybody on the team vacation. Some of you may think I make them work too hard, but they're all going to get a bit of a time to recharge the batteries, including me taking a little bit of time off in January. But with that, I want to wish you a wonderful Christmas, New Year's, and Happy Hanukkah. And I want to close, and you're going to be surprised by this, with some words from Miley Cyrus. In her song, The Climb, I'm going to paraphrase some of her lyrics because I think they really speak to me, and I hope that these are maybe some touch points for you in 2023. She said, "I may not know it, but these are the moments I'm going to remember most. There's always going to be another mountain. It ain't how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb." So with that, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the blessings of the season to you and your family. Be well, be safe. We'll see you in 2023. Thank you.